Yo, what's up? It's your boy TK, and this is Shade and Shit Talk.
Never change.
Before I get off into the meat of the episode, I want to take this moment right now to give my condolences to the family, to the fans, to the friends, to the loved ones of the Queen of Soul, the legend Miss Aretha Franklin, who recently passed at the age of 76 years old. Many of you know her by, her biggest hits, Respect, Think. It's so many to name, and I'll really get into it later in the podcast when I do a full tribute. But I just felt it was necessary to start off talking about Miss Aretha. My first memory of her wasn't, from, my grandma playing her records or whatever. My first memory of Miss Franklin came probably about 88, 89, somewhere up in there, when I saw her on The Blues Brothers. Now, if you've never seen this movie, you really should. It's a pretty good movie. But it came out in 1980. And like I said, it was about 88, 89 when I saw her. And she had this unforgettable, scene in this movie where she plays a waitress in a diner and she sings the song Think. And this scene is actually, probably my favorite scene of the entire movie, from the part of her just blowing out this song to, the things that happen after the song and so on and so forth. But that's like my first memory of her. And, after that, I was a huge fan. I really started paying attention, when my grandmother played her records around the house. And, it's a sad time, not only for, the black community, but for the music world, period. Because, like I said, she's a legend. She was a huge influencer, and she's just a part. You can't talk about music in this country's history without mentioning Aretha Franklin. So, once again, condolences to the Franklin family and all her fans. Rest easy. So, the other day, I ran across a post of Ricky Smiley, talking about some of the things that he saw while in the airport, and it made him, reflect on the, for lack of a better term, the state of the union, of the black community. Listening to him talk, it kind of made me think about some of the things that he said, and while I agree with a lot of it, some of it I didn't. Some of it seemed to be steeped in respectability politics. Some of it seemed to be, I wouldn't necessarily say vindictive or mean-spirited, but, I didn't take a lot of it as it being very constructive criticism towards the black community. Now, I know a lot of people who really hated what he said, really had a problem with what he said. And if you guys get a chance, and I believe we posted it on Black with No Chaser, go back and check it out. It's about 8.5 minutes long. But, basically he talked about, the community, how it was when he was growing up, how they didn't know they lived in the projects because, his mom and, other neighbors planted flowers and kept it clean and, really took pride in their neighborhoods. And that I totally agree with. I grew up in the projects, Katy Avenue, myself, and even though it was the projects and even though, we didn't have a lot of shit, but we had a strong sense of community. I grew up with some really great people. I had some really great neighbors and we all looked out for one another. But, then the crack epidemic hit and a lot of that shit changed. That was the catalyst of a huge decline, but that's another whole nother rant. But, like I said, thinking about some of the stuff that he said and some of the things that it made me focus on, he was talking about, he was walking through the airport and he saw guys with sweatpants on and, you know, ladies with bonnets on their head. And, you know, he kind of equated that to them getting hired for a job. And, you know, and I'm thinking, like, first of all, man, if it's 5, 6 o'clock or whatever it is in fucking morning, I'm at the airport, I really don't give a fuck what you think about me. You know, I'm not dressing for a job interview while I'm catching a goddamn flight. You know, because the process of getting on the plane is already tedious as is. So you just trying to get there and get where you going. But you know, he kind of, I don't know. It's just some of the things that he went, you know, on about were true. He talked about, you know, voting or lack of voting. You know, he mentioned that he was in his own city. He drove 2 hours to go vote and only 75 people showed up or something to that effect. And I feel that, you know, we talk about our communities and the things that go on and how we, you know, don't get the things that we need, but we also don't go and attempt to bring the people who look like us, who have our needs and our wants at the forefront of their thoughts, you know, in office. And I've seen it in my hometown, the place I live now. You know, the voter turnout has been low. And it reminds me of, you know, a story I talked about a while back about is this small area in Georgia. Well, it's not small, it's like 70,000 people, where the whole justice system is run by black women who were voted in by a bunch of black people who got out and vote. And I suspect that the people in that county, that area, that city, I suspect that their lives will be, you know, a lot better than some of their counterparts, you know, outside of that area. I mean, I believe I said six of the 8 city council people were black women. And, you know, that makes a huge difference. And right now, you know, you got Stacey Abrams going for the governor of Georgia. So that makes a huge difference. So I agree with him in that aspect. And he talked about quite a few things that the black community should improve on. And while I do agree that there is room for improvement, because there's always room for improvement, nothing's perfect. But I think, you know, those are the types of conversations that we should have, you know, amongst ourselves. We shouldn't be, you know, airing out our internal grievances for the world to see, you know, because he said something, you know, in his talk or rant or whatever it was he called it, you know, that we're giving white people the ammo basically to treat us how, you know, they see fit. And I don't know, that kind of rubbed me, you know, wrong, because the way I look at it is, regardless of how we talk, how we dress, you know, we're still going to be treated a certain way just because we're black. You know, he went on to talk about, you know, how he was in the airport and, you know, people were talking loud at a restaurant and you could hear him, you know, down the way, and how embarrassing it was. And, you know, he questioned why we have to be so loud. And I mean, there's always a time and a place for, you know, being quiet and shutting the fuck up. But, you know, I don't question like why we are so loud, because we have been held silent for so long that when you get a chance to just be yourself and feel free, you do it. Fuck it. I don't care, you know, who feels a certain type of way about it. But, you know, listening to him go on, it kind of made me think about this movie that was out, you know, Sorry to Bother You. And if you've seen the previews, you know, it's talking about code switching, Black Americans and the power of code switching. Now, I don't know if anybody really knows what code switching is. I mean, I can only assume that you know what it is. So I kind of give you an example. Like, say for instance, You're at work one day, and you talking to your white colleagues in that professional, polite, buttoned up tone voice that people often use in a corporate setting or professional setting, whatever. And say your mom or your boy, your partner, call you on the phone and you answer right there, and without thinking about it, you kind of start talking to them like you sitting right there at the crib and y'all talking. You got a different type of voice. It's still your voice, but it's different. It's not the office voice or what have you. You might go deep into your own accent that you had, or you talking differently. So at the end of this conversation, you might say, and I know I said all the time, all right, man, I'm gonna holler at you. And then you hang up, right? So when you done, you look up and all your coworkers who was there, they looking at you and wondering, who the fuck was that? Not the person on the phone, but the person like, who the fuck was that? That's an example of code switching, and that sparked a conversation between me and some other people. Some people feel like there's nothing cool about code switching. Some people feel like it's a necessity. It's a part of life that a lot of us have to deal with. And I don't know, hit me up, tell me how you feel about it. You can email me, you can post comments under the post, but tell me how you feel about code switching. But it's nothing new. It's been around for a long time. It's like the verbal counterpart of passing, in my opinion. It's like take me like Dave Chappelle. And I love Dave Chappelle, and I know a lot of y'all do, some don't, whatever. But if you watch his stand up and watch some of his shows, he always has like this satirical white guy voice that he uses in his routine. But he has said, and I quote, "Every black American is bilingual. All of us. We speak street vernacular. We speak job interview." And that's true. That is 100% true. We talk differently when we with our people versus when we at work, versus when we're trying to get that job. And it really shouldn't have to be that way, but we've seen the evidence that it has to be that way. Code switching has become a means of survival. I remember, when I was younger, and my mother, she has a light voice, and she's always had it. If you didn't know her and you pick up the phone and talk to her, you would swear that she's a 34-year-old white woman when she talks. And she's always had this voice. But I remember she called this place about getting a quote for some health insurance or some type of insurance. And, they told her come right down and all this and that. So she hops in the car and we go down there. And when she got there and they realized that they were talking to a black woman, the whole situation changed. Everything, prices, quotes, willingness to help. Needless to say, we walked out and we didn't get shit. Thank goodness for Medicare and the health department and emergency rooms. I still owe bills from like 85, but whatever. But it has become a mean of survival, a way that we adapt to our surroundings. Which is why, I preach this, and we preach this on Black with No Chase, and we preach this on MMIG, Melanated Millennials Investment Group. It's important that, we start our own, create our own, so we won't have to go through this. Because, like I said earlier, it doesn't matter how you talk, how you dress. You know, like Kanye say, what you drive, you still a nigga in the coupe. If you dressed up in a tailor suit, you still a nigga in the suit. For so many of them, and that's just the reality of what we deal with. You know, like I said, some black people view code switching as a valuable skill that's essential to moving successfully through life. You know, it's just a part of living in this melting pot that we call, you know, America. But others feel that underneath it all, there's a feeling of judgment. There's a level of respectability politics, and, you know, and the attempts by a marginalized group to self-police those who are different from them in the mainstream. Some people view it as thinking that the African-American vernacular is less than, you know, the standard, quote-unquote, standard English. I don't know. But I will say this, despite, like, you know, like I said, Dave Chappelle making jokes about it and other comedians make jokes about it, despite our best comedic efforts or the movie that I referenced earlier, despite, you know, our theatrical efforts to talk about it, code switching, now more than ever, is not a laughing matter. It's very, very serious. Police brutality, which has resulted in unarmed black men being killed by police almost 3.5 times the rate of unarmed white men, has rendered one's blackness, our blackness, a perpetual signifier of danger. Look no further than the example we posted today on Black with No Chaser about the cop pulling over the guys and racially profiling them and saying that the passenger who's just sitting there looks like and gives off the vibe that he has a gun. What kind of shit is that? But anyway, to date, black people have been killed by police for walking to their apartment, carrying a toy gun, staring at people, you know, in their grandmother's backyard, playing by themselves at a park, you know, with a gun, a toy gun, selling loose cigarettes, selling CDs, whatever you want to call it, and any and many other harmless acts that's too ordinary to result in someone's death. When black people can be killed for simply being themselves, code switching represents itself as a form of self-protection. It's not just audio. Manigault Newman has video. According to the Associated Press, Omarosa do not only just have audio tapes, she has a stash of video, emails, text messages, and other documentation supporting the claims in her tell-all book about her time in the Trump alt-White House. So Omarosa has made it very, very clear that she plans to continue selectively releasing the pieces of evidence if President Orange Toupee Fiasco and his associates continue to attack her credibility and challenge the claims in her new book, Unhinged. Omarosa said, and I quote, "I will not be silenced. I will not be intimidated. I'm not going to be bullied by Donald Trump." Wow. So, listen, man, he cannot be surprised. I mean, you know, she was taught by the best. He's a manipulative piece of shit, and he had her under his wing for 10 years, and she just, you know, doing what she was taught. So now you got a situation of the student outdoing the teacher. But listen, we all know what this is. We all understand what it is. And, you know, Omarosa is going around on her press run, and she's making like she's doing this for the greater good of the country, and she's doing this for the greater good of blacks and people of color. Well, it's bullshit, and nobody's buying it. Nobody. We all know, Omarosa, that this is strictly about money. You trying to get your cash up. And hey, I ain't even mad at you. But no, we the black community, we are not buying your bullshit. and we not falling for it. Now, some people bought the book. I personally won't buy the book, but it is what it is. You know, I really don't fuck with Omarosa the long way like that. And here's why. Now, Trump and his associates have been claimed to saying all these different racist bullshit things, you know, by Omarosa. But my feeling is this. What are you doing, or what were you doing, and what were you saying to make these people so comfortable that they can say all this bullshit and do this bullshit around you? Huh. So, you know, that in itself makes me say, fuck it. It is what it is with her. But I will tell you this. If what she's doing and the evidence that she has, if she somehow uses this evidence to get his ass out of office, then guess what? You will be officially welcome back to the barbecue. But you can only have one scoop of potato salad and one rib.
No. One rib.
One rib.
I sure am hungry.
Headline: White House can't guarantee there are no recordings of Trump saying the N-word. Orange 45's press secretary has said she, quote unquote, can't guarantee there are no recordings of the U.S. president using the N-word. This comes as former White House aide and current mixtape god, whose new mixtape, Diary of a Mad Coon, is out. Check it out. Omarosa Manigault, she has alleged that there's a recording of Orange 45 using a racial slur. When asked about it, Sarah Huckabee Sanders, a.k.a. Uncle Fester's twin sister, said, and I quote, "I can't guarantee anything." She added, "I can tell you the president addressed this question directly. I can tell you that I've never heard it." I bet you haven't. Now, when she was asked if she could say with certainty that Orange 45 had never used the N-word, she said, "I haven't been in every single room." But she stressed that the president has addressed the question and has denied ever using such language. Look, man, here's my thing. It doesn't take rocket science to know that this motherfucker is a racist. As we pointed out on Black with No Chaser on a post earlier, that we don't need the tapes to know that this dude is a racist. There's a laundry list of things that you can read up on that will tell you this. Shout out to Brother Lars, by the way. But I'll tell you like this from my standpoint. Coming from somebody who says nigga a lot, trust me when I say that nigga said nigga. And finally, and this one is a piece of work. Headline: Rudy Giuliani says Trump is honest because facts are in the eye of the beholder. President Donald Trump's personal attorney delivered another doozy of a soundbite Tuesday night when he told CNN's Chris Cuomo that nowadays facts are in the eye of the beholder. Now, Rudy made these comments while defending Trump's harsh words that he used, talking about Omarosa, where he called her a dog. And, that right there has several connotations, but that's a whole nother rant. Now, by saying this, the former New York mayor's remarks, they feed into this perception among his many critics, Trump's many critics, that this administration often rejects objective facts and tries to confuse the public about what's true, which we all know they do that shit. I mean, they the ones coined the phrase fake news and all that other bullshit. So that's what they do. They tell lies and don't own up to them. They try to piss on your leg and tell you it's raining. But the real people, the real American people, the ones who are smart, they know better. They don't fall for that bullshit. And We all know that Trump is a fucking liar, and he's also an idiot. And I will give you a fact why, he's an idiot. You have to be a real idiot to put your faith and trust in somebody who married their own second cousin like Rudy did. Now that's a goddamn fact for you. The music world and the rest of the world is mourning the death and remembering the life of the Queen of Soul, Miss Aretha Franklin, who died on Thursday. Now, the Queen was best known for her rapturous, soulful voice and her ability to reach into the chest of her audience. But beyond the lights and the songs and the furs and the shows, Miss Franklin was involved with the civil rights movement, and she remained passionate about the progress of African Americans and women throughout her life. She used her platform to inform others. Over her career, which spanned 5 decades, she put on fundraisers, she went on tour, she gave free shows, she bailed out activists in support of social movements. Her fight for our lives and this fight was never over. She was there from the early days of the civil rights movement up to the 2 terms of Barack Obama. She became involved through her daddy, Reverend C.L. Franklin. He was heavily involved with Dr. Martin Luther King. Matter of fact, Aretha sang Precious Lord at the funeral of Dr. King back in 1968. But, like I said, she was involved with the civil rights movement. And her biggest call to action was back in 1970 with Angela Davis, when she told the Jet magazine that Angela Davis must go free. Black people will be free. I've been locked up, and I know you got to disturb the peace when you can't get no peace. She also went on to say, I have the money. I got it from black people. They made me financially able to have it, and I will use it in ways that will help our people. Wow. Salute to Aretha Franklin. Now, her career, which I said before, spanned over 5 decades. She was critically acclaimed, highly successful. She recorded 112 charted singles on billboards, including 77 Hot 100 entries, 17 top 10 pop singles, 100 R&B singles, and 20 number 1 R&B singles, becoming the most charted female artist in the chart's history. She received numerous honors throughout her career, including a 1987 induction into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. She became the first female performer to be inducted. She was also inducted into the UK Hall of Fame in 2005, becoming the second female ever inducted. In August 2012, she was inducted to the GMA Gospel Music Hall of Fame, and she has been listed on 2 all-time greats lists in the Rolling Stone for the 100 greatest artists of all time and the 100 greatest singers of all time. In a tweet today, President Obama pretty much summed it up and said it best. He said, Aretha helped define the American experience. In her voice, we could feel our history, all of it and in every shade, our power and our pain, our darkness and our light, our quest for redemption and our hard-won respect. May the Queen of Soul rest in eternal peace. We here at Shade and Shit Talking, we believe that it's our duty to recognize and call out the atrocities and the injustices levied against the black community. We also believe that in order for us to grow and prosper, we need to recognize the good in ourselves and, to be fair, to call out the bad in what we do so that we can move forward. So, with that being said, I'd like to introduce you all to our new segment called The Good, the Bad, and the Man What the F***. Our first moment, a good moment, is a 2-parter actually. The first part is shout out to brother Kemar Kane and his Working Woman Wednesday series that you can catch on Facebook as well as on the Black with No Chaser page. Like and follow, by the way. Share. He interviews a different woman, working woman, every Wednesday, where she gets a chance to tell her story and tell her journey, and also to enlighten and encourage other women to do, productive things. This is a very good series, one that we're proud of, one that we're excited about, and I hope that you all can get excited about and get behind it, because we love black women here at Black with No Chaser. We love black women outside of Black with No Chaser. They are the backbone of our society, the hardest working, the strongest, most loving species on this planet. So we all need to get behind them and support, every endeavor that encourages black women. The second part, and it serves the same purpose. Shout out to John David Washington, Denzel Washington's son, who in an interview the other day, when the reporter was asking him questions about being the son of Denzel Washington, he cut him off immediately and told a story about how his mother, Miss Paulette, was the breadwinner, how she paid for the first date, how she took care of the situations because she was the breadwinner at the time. And, it just relayed a message of, again, the strength and the love of black women. And, I like how he, called that out in the beginning right there and showed, love and showed, just appreciation to his mother. So shout out to John David Washington.
The bad.
Baltimore police officer charged with assault. A Baltimore police officer who repeatedly punched a man over the weekend in an altercation caught on video was charged with assault and turned himself in on Tuesday. Baltimore State's Attorney Marilyn J. Mosby announced Tuesday that a grand jury indicted Arthur Williams on charges of first and second degree assault and misconduct in office. She said that the first degree assault charges fit this alleged crime and requires proof that Williams intended to cause serious physical injury in the commission of the assault. Now, I don't know if y'all saw the video, but I'm pretty sure you have. We had it posted up on the page, and we saw it, everywhere on everybody's timeline. Well, this black police officer beat the shit out of another black man who was just standing there. This guy didn't attack him. This guy didn't assault him. This guy, didn't do anything. What set that officer off was the guy told the officer, "Don't touch me." And when he said that, the officer started wailing on him. I mean, just fucking wailing on this guy. And it resulted in the guy having, I believe, a broken nose. He had damage to his ribs, to his teeth. He suffered a fractured jaw, fractured ribs, swelling around his eye, ringing in his ears. He retained a lawyer. He wasn't charging anything, but he retained a lawyer. He's gonna sue the shit out of the city of Baltimore. He's gonna fucking win because that was some straight up bullshit. It's bad enough that we gotta deal with racist and bigoted cops, but when you other cops, black cops, who just stand by and just watch this shit happen, you just as guilty. But you even worse when you doing the bullshit yourself. So fuck him. I hope he goes to jail. And finally, my WTF moment goes out to none other than Miss Angela Bassett. On August 16th, Angela Bassett turned 60 years old. And in commemoration of her 60th birthday, happy birthday, by the way, Miss Bassett, we love you. But in commemoration of her 60th birthday, Angela Bassett dropped a picture of herself in her bikini. And all I could do was look at that picture and say,
Man, what the
Well, we reached the end of another exciting and wonderful episode of the Shade of Shit Talking podcast. As always, I thank you for tuning in. I appreciate the likes, the shares, the follows, the downloads, the compliments, the critiques. I appreciate it all. I thank you for everything that you've done, helping support me in what I'm trying to do, and I appreciate it. Once again, I would like to give my most heartfelt and sincere condolences to the family of the Queen of Soul, Miss Aretha Franklin, to her friends, to her loved ones, to her former band, those who watched and loved her from afar. Just, know that she will always live forever in our hearts and minds, and her legacy will endure the test of time through her timeless and classic and soulful, beautiful music. So once again, condolences to the family of Miss Aretha Franklin. For my folks in Mississippi looking for something to do in the Jackson area, or if you just want to go to Jackson, August 18th, all roads lead to Jackson, Mississippi. Honeycomb Enterprises presents Big Laughs in the City, featuring Kev on stage. Y'all seen on All Def Digital. Very, very funny guy. But more importantly, it features Jackson, Mississippi's own comedian Miss Rita Brent, who was seen on the Ricky Smiley tour, and it's hosted by Merk B. Williams from the Heart of the City show. I think he's from Greenville, Mississippi. So if you're looking for something to do, make sure y'all go check it out. It's a live show. They're all pretty funny. I love Rita. She's very, very funny. So go check it out. Put on your Sunday's best or whatever it is and go get your laugh on. Also, make sure you like, share, and follow Shade and Shit Talking Podcast. I'm on Anchor. I'm on Podbean, www.shadeandshittalkingpodcast.podbean.com. I'm on Google Podcasts, iTunes. If you're on iTunes and you're listening to me, please leave a review. Leave some comments. I'm trying to get my rating up. I'm also on Pocket Cast, Overcast, and all the various podcasting platforms as well. Make sure you also like, follow, and share the Black with No Chaser page on Facebook. Follow us, like us, share on Instagram at Black with No Chaser. Also on Twitter at Black No Chaser. Also, for you movie lovers, make sure you check out my guy E-Man's movie reviews on YouTube. He also drops videos on the Black with No Chaser page. So make sure you like, follow, sub on YouTube. That's E-Man's movie reviews. Also, check out my boy Jerry and Thomas on the Unapologetic Geek page for all you blurs out there like myself. Good follow, good content, highly entertaining. So make sure you like, follow, and share that as well. And, we're just going to continue to keep supporting each other, keep doing what we're doing, keep, calling out the bullshit, the nonsense, and also giving praise and acknowledgement to those who are progressing the movement to Tulsa 2.0. So with that being said, once again, thank you for tuning in. Thank you for your time, your love, your patience, and I hope to see you next week.
The podcast you just heard was published with Anchor. Got something you want to say to the creator of this show? Send them a voice message using the Anchor app, free for iOS and Android.